what we're looking for is you. Whatever you bring, whatever. We're not looking for you to try to make yourself into something else. Like, if it's your role, we want you to bring the thing that you bring, whether that is, doing a flip or other things, other amazing talents that everyone has. But it's true. It's like actors should not spend time trying to figure out how can I make myself into this thing that a casting director might like, because that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the thing that you bring when it's the time, when the role matches that.
Well, first off, Destiny, how did you get involved in casting this wonderful show?
I should use the microphone. I'm not an actor. So it was the middle of the pandemic, and I had mostly been, prior to that, casting a lot of theater in New York and doing like Broadway and off-Broadway. And my boss, Bernie Telsey, was like, hey, there's this TV show. It's got like Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez. You want to work on it? And I was like, dude, it's a pandemic. I'll work on anything. There's no theater. Like, the theaters are closed. I will work on anything you throw my way, sir. So that is how. So we started in the summer of 2020. And so, a time that was, difficult for everybody, but also, difficult to get something new started in, television, because, there were so many new restrictions and rules and figuring things out, and there was so much to do. But it was really cool, and it was a really cool moment to get kind of pushed into doing a lot of television. And since then, I've been able to do like more TV and more film, and I think it was because that moment when it was like, oh, and also this show, we were like, well, there's lots of theater actors and they're not working right now, so let's get them on the show. And then that's been something that's throughout the last few seasons.
Michael and Wesley, how was working with Destiny, and do you remember your audition for the show and the process of that?
It's been great. Thank you so much. I love working with Destiny. I love when she visits set. It's always a pleasure. So I originally, it was the middle of the pandemic, and I originally was called just for I had heard about the project, and I asked my reps to get me a script, and they said there's no script available, and then I got the script. And I read the script, and the first episode, Howard's not in the first episode, but I was like, this is incredible. I want to be part of this. So just keep an eye out if there's something for me. And then I got a self-tape for a smaller part and killed it. And because, thankfully Destiny and Tiffany always keep their eyes out for me. But I had also, right before the pandemic, worked with a director, Jamie Babbitt, on League of Their Own, a pilot for that show. And Jamie was directing the first 2 episodes and said to Destiny and Tiffany and John, what about this guy for Howard? So they called me in for Howard. I had a Zoom audition. I was upstate, and Tiffany was there. Tiffany read with me, and Destiny was there, and everybody was on. And it was great and so pleasant, as the whole job has been. And then I had a call back, and then I waited a long time.
Long time, I'm so sorry.
Really long time. It's okay. But that's how I got involved, and thank goodness. It was only supposed to be a couple episodes, I think.
And now you're a series regular.
Thank God. Thank you.
Series regular, 4 seasons. But for me, couple years after the pandemic, I was putting myself on tape for a procedural, The Equalizer, starring Queen Latifah. I was busy at work at that late at night, and I got a call from Tiffany, being like, "Are you in town? Are you in New York City? Are you available right now?" And I said, "Yes." She says, "I'm going to send you 10 pages tomorrow morning. Can you come in front of the whole team and Destiny and John?" And I was really sort of inspired by that challenge, to be honest. I mean, yes, it was scary and last minute, but it was also like, this feels like I got a call late at night before the next morning. So it felt like, that call, like it was mine to lose, And I also started looking at the sides, and at that point, it ended up being a 6-episode recur, but I thought it was a couple episodes, so. But I remember looking at the sides and it saying, that he does flips, that he was like tumbling in this scene. And I was like, oh my God, I can flip. Like, I can do this. Like, do they know? And I texted Tiffany that night, and I said, you do know I can tumble, right? And she said, duh.
That's hilarious.
And the showrunner of Only Murders, we worked together on an episode of Looking on HBO many years ago, and Jamie Babbitt also worked on Looking. So yeah, but my audition was kind of a blur to me, but super fun.
It was amazing. It was in person. This is the story I always tell. It was an in-person audition, which we'd never been able to have up until that point. Because in season 1, it was like the middle of COVID. Season 2, still out of COVID. But season 3, we were able to have in-person auditions. And like Wes came in the room, and like when it's like, okay, this character is supposed to like do some sort of acrobatic trick, he actually did it. And we were all like jaws on the floor. We're like, what? Did he just do that?
Before I knew it was Wes, somehow I had run into or talked to Kristen, one of the producers, and she's like, this kid, he did a flip. He did a flip. It was like,
That's the only reason I got the part. Let's be honest. I could flip. No. Yeah. Well, you never know, because that could go awry. You know, like I did SpongeBob on Broadway, and when I auditioned for that, originally, I did not get the part. 2 years before, someone else got the role when they were doing development in Chicago and all of that before Broadway. But because I came in and I was like showing all my tricks. You know, and it was like this big physical comedy show, and I was like, I got to show everything I got. So you never know. You could sort of come off a little too eager, a little too, you know. But I remember in the audition being like, just so you know, like I could do. He's like, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. I was like, I would like to.
It worked. We were all thrilled. It was really cool also to be in person, because we'd never had that moment before. And I feel like doing, you know, if you'd done that flip on a self-tape, it probably wouldn't have come across as well.
Well, all of you have such wonderful theater backgrounds. Were you excited, like going into the season, knowing that there is going to be a musical and like and the theater was going to be such a huge backbone of the season?
I thought it was, I was very excited. And it was also the whole season, and working on the whole season really had the feeling, I would say, of doing a play, because it really was some of the best New York character actors, which they're so great at finding. So it's just like the best room to be in. All your favorite actors in one room, all doing shows for a show with their favorite actors. It had a real putting on a play vibe, and it was fun.
And also helpful because, you know, newcomers like Meryl Streep are there. And, you know,
Little
you
known.
have this illustrious cast that are just legends. So to have also a secondary and supporting cast is more, you know, theater and I don't know, we all sort of knew of each other, and there was a real down and dirty vibe.
Yeah, there's
to
like
it
a
as
real,
well.
like, we're all acting really normal around Steve, Marty, Selena, and Meryl. And like, you know, we're very normal and very cool about it. And then we'd have someone to go to get a snack with and be like, this is fucking crazy. Is this not insane? You know, you always, it's always going to be crazy. But it
So
was
many of
nice.
those moments.
Yeah,
We
we
had
definitely
so
had
many.
some snacks. We're like, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I just think it's been such a great opportunity working on this show, because literally I feel like the first season, you know, John Hoffman, our amazing showrunner, who is like the nicest man to work with, and he's like, I really want just like great theater actors, and like he's like, you know, like big theater people, like Jane Howdyshell. And I was like, you were speaking my language, sir. I know exactly, like, yes, these are my people. I know these people. And it's been so cool, like getting all of these like wonderful theater actors. And I feel like, yes, everybody's done tons of other things as well. You know, I remember seeing Wes on Smash, like, you know, like for many years. But it's been cool to be able to be like, oh, now more people will get to see just how talented all these performers are.
But that's enough. Sorry.
Oh, no.
I was just going to say this, the Smash reference is like, that was another show that I ended up on and being like, wait, there's so many theater people here. I'm surrounded by people that I'm already working with on the boards that are so it like really deepened the experience. And so Only Murders was a similar vibe.
Yeah, it's really easy to talk about, like, the show is cast so well and there's so many incredible stars on it, but like what I'm amazed at is it's cast so well from bottom to top. Like, I had a scene with a really great actor this season, a day player, and it was just one day, me and him, and he was so incredible. Like, it's like you're getting the Meryl Streep of day players. You're getting them, like, they do such an amazing job. And there's never, and this is what I'll say, and I think this is probably a testament to your taste and how you work. We have never had a bad egg on the show ever.
Oh, wow.
And that's why, not that I know of. Maybe I'm it. Maybe I'm it.
I'm just impressed. I'm impressed.
No, but it's just like it's a place where everybody's really happy to be. It just it's the nicest set, and it goes from top to bottom. And so that's what's great. Is it's like you're working with the greats, and you're working with the future greats and the consistent greats. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for getting the good ones.
Thank you, Destiny.
Well, Michael and Wesley, this actually is a perfect segue into a question that I just have all caps that says Meryl. You get to work with so many legendary actors. What do you feel like you've learned with them on set and working alongside them?
I mean, I tried to be a sponge, and I was just soaking up everything she did. I mean, when we were on set, I mean, there was one of the first days that she was on set and we were all working together was this big scene at the beginning of season 3, the first episode where we're in the rehearsal space and we're around the tables, and she was like writing in this little journal, and I was like, what is she writing over there? What is she writing? Like in between setups, and I really probably shouldn't say this out loud, but she went back to her dressing room or whatever. And and it was totally herself journaling in character, and I was like, I will be doing that every morning from this moment on. It's just like, of course I'm gonna steal from her. Of course I'm gonna steal that. Like that's amazing, that she's just constantly sort of living in, and not method, not like sort of problematic or involving anyone else in her process. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know those actors too, who are making everyone else suffer for their process. But she doesn't do that. I mean, she's staying in character in her own way, in her own quiet, humble way.
Yeah, she's also just very, very kind and gracious to everyone. I had worked on the Post, so I was there for a long time, and I got to watch. We didn't have scenes together, but I got to watch her work, so I knew what that was like. And I remember she was just very fun at the rap party, which was at a bar. And she seemed like a very normal, down-to-earth person, but she's disarming and wonderful and comes in and makes everybody feel special. Like, she walked in the first 10 minutes, she goes, I'm such a fan. And I was like, I'm going to die. So I immediately feel more comfortable with her. I don't know if she really is, but I felt real comfortable. And it is, working with these stars, you learn very basic things that you learned back in the beginning, but you learn it works. Be on time, know your lines, be kind to everyone, do your job, and have a good time. And that's what Marty always says is be on time, learn your lines, and Do you think also some of it was like when she was coming on set and she was so like sort of youthful and energetic, and like she was playing an actress in theater rehearsal who was like being very social and very like, you know what I'm saying? Because I wonder if on the set of The Iron Lady, if she was as social with her cast. You know what I'm saying? Really good question.
She probably adapts in terms of...
Something you're going to have to ask her, I think.
Yeah.
Send her an email.
Sure.
Destiny, you're nominated for an Emmy alongside
Thank you.
Bernie, Telsey, and Tiffany.
Thank you.
So exciting.
Thank you.
What is it like doing the casting process as a trio? And aside from the flips, do you have a favorite memory from casting this season?
I mean, there's so many things. Wes's audition is really one of the highlights of the moment. And Tiffany and Bernie are so wonderful and are really great to work with, and we, together have like so many like years in the business and know so many people, and it's just like this wonderful kind of exchange of ideas about, oh, we love these people and like we love doing this show because we're able to really bring in actors who, like, a lot of whom we've known for years and years. It's like, oh, we finally have a great role for this person. Oh, we finally have a great role for this person. So it's really exciting in that way, and it's very creative. And then when we're like in the season and we get like the scripts, it's like, oh, okay. What? Okay. We'll sit on Zoom because Tiffany's on the West Coast. So we'll like sit on Zoom and we'll be like, how about this person? What do you think? Like, I put this list together. We're like, okay, let's send this list, but with like these 2 people off and add these people. And then we send it. And then, it's like, oh, these people are great. It's like this wonderful collaboration process. Which has been really fun. And like I said, this particular season for season 3, and then we were able to do it again for season 4, we were able to have some in-person auditions. And since this season also involved singing, season 3, we got to have people come in and, sing at like a musical theater audition, which was really, really fun, and being able to really work with some of our favorite people who've been working on Broadway, and it's a very cool job that I really love doing. And this season 3 in particular, was a lot of fun because of that Broadway aspect, and bringing in like some of our favorite people like Don Darrell Rivera and like Gerald Caesar,
Peter
Ashley
Bartlett.
Park, Peter Bartlett. Oh,
Mary Louise Burke.
yes, Mary Louise Burke, like these like gems, these wonderful, wonderful actors. It's a pleasure.
Well, I feel like this is a question for all of you, is how do you go about with the casting process, but also preparing for your roles when you aren't necessarily aware of the central mystery for the season? I think, Wesley, that is particularly of interest for you for this season, season 3. I'd love to hear a little bit about your own process when you don't know exactly what the roadmap looks like.
Well, I'm not sure. Like, can I spoil things? Like, because
It's already
Last
aired.
year, I think so. Yeah.
okay, I just never. I know season 4 is about.
cover your
Cover your
because,
ears if
yeah,
you
they
don't want to
didn't
know
watch
what.
the last episode.
If you haven't seen the finale of season 3 yet, cover your ears. Are we all ready? Okay, I was the killer of season 3.
He did it.
And when I didn't know. I did not know when I got the sides, when I auditioned, when I got the part. I did not know, and I didn't know that I was more than 2 or 3 episodes. I didn't.
When did
know.
you find out? Because I knew.
Okay, so this it's pretty fun. So we get an email from the showrunner's assistant saying, like, we would like to do a Zoom read through of the first 2 episodes of the season, and you're in the first one. So could you show up for this Zoom? And I'm nervous, of course, because it's going to be Steve, Marty, Selena, all the cast that I'm going to be seeing and meeting for the first time and doing this read through. And I sign on to the Zoom. Fucking Meryl Streep is there. And I'm like, am I dreaming? Like, is this like no? I think one of my first emotions was like anger. Like I was upset that my reps like didn't tell me, and that like no one gave me a heads up. And my really good friend Ashley Park is also on the season, and I was texting her under the table like, what the fuck is happening? And she's like, I know, I can't, I didn't know this was happening either. And so that threw me for a loop. But then after the Zoom was over, I got another email from John's assistant saying, John would like to hop on a Zoom with you later today. Does 6 p.m. work? And I was like, I'm already getting fired? Like,
Oh no!
like it was just one Zoom. Like, what the hell? And I was really anxious, like all day. I was really, I really did think, yeah, because it happens like that. It can happen really fast. And so I signed on to a Zoom with John, and he was like, okay, I'm about to tell you something that you can't tell, like your parent, like no one, you cannot tell a single soul. But you are the killer of this season. And I like screamed. And he was like, and you can't even tell anyone on set. And I was like, what? And he's like, no, we take this really seriously. And like people don't know the storyline until the episodes come out. And we think that this creates a really like authentic, great mystery vibe on set. And so it was the hardest secret I've ever had to keep in my life. I mean, it was,
You know how you know someone's a killer, this isn't you were involved in the killing, is when they say to a director, no, I don't want to tip the hat. And like the minute you hear someone say that when they're rehearsing a scene, you're like, well, they are involved in the murder.
did I say that?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to tip the hat.
Yes, so we always know from the beginning because it affects casting. So we have a Zoom with John and usually some other department heads where he'll walk through the entire, like, they put together like a whole, like it's like a PowerPoint of the whole season, and they walk through the whole thing. So we know, because sometimes, whoever the killer might be in any given season might show up in like the third episode or whatever, the second, and you think, oh, it's just the one episode, but really we need them at the end. So we always know going in to the season, because we have to cast in a way or make a deal in a way that we know we have that person at the end. Yeah.
I ask
Never
to
tell.
know nothing. I like to be surprised and guess, but like every single season, first, second, third, I'm like, I'm the killer. I know I am. I know I am. And for 3 seasons, I've tried to play everything 2 different ways. I always have. I'm like, well, I'll play it with a little bit of mystery. I don't know what that mystery is, but I'm gonna do it. But that was the first season. I was like, I'm definitely the killer, because the audition, the Zoom audition. I think the thing that sealed it maybe for me was John. I did the audition, felt great, and then he's like, okay, I just want to give you one adjustment. Like, can you just like put a little menace in it, or a little danger? And I was like, danger? I'm the killer. Or I always think I'm dead. I'm like the whole show's about me. No, but I do I like trying to solve the mystery on my own. And this was a great mystery, this season 3. Yeah. It's always a really good.
You also don't make it easy. Like they're always talking about it. When we would hang out in a green room or a situation and setups, like everyone's like, well, I think it's not you, but it's not, and it's really hard to be like.
Well, Michael, as the veteran, have you actually guessed correctly?
Well, someone spoiled it for you. Season 2.
Yeah, someone spoiled it season 2 for me, and I learned pretty early. But I've never guessed correctly. I've always been wrong, because I always am like going on. I always think it's the wrong person. And this season, this current season that we're filming, I was so wrong. It was such a good mystery.
Oh.
It's such a good mystery that I'm always so wrong.
Well, I'd also love to hear a little bit, Howard is such a staple of the show. How has your character evolved throughout the seasons, and how has that kind of evolved you as an actor as well?
It's changed my life. I mean, I would be interested in hearing what the plan for Howard was in the beginning, but I don't know that it was to be in all of these episodes. And I lucked out. I mean, I'll try to make this really brief, but in the first season I was 2 episodes I got hired for, and between the first and the second episode, I got COVID, and I was going to, it was horrible. It was the time where there was no vaccines, and you felt you were ruining an entire production, and it felt very, very bad in many ways. So I got COVID, and I was scheduled to start this other job, Dexter New Blood. So I really didn't have any time to do there wasn't much time between my 14 days and I'm clean and clear and better to film. And I was like, well, they're going to write me out, and this was my chance, and that's okay. And I understand I got sick, blah, blah, blah. And they made it work. And I will never, ever forget that. They said, we can film you this one day. We know you're negative, but we want to be extra safe. So we're going to film you separately. And I was devastated, but I was like, I understand. And they filmed this whole episode, this whole scene in my apartment. I watched my amazing body double / stand-in Jordan do the scene with Marty and with Steve and Selena all day. And then I came in at the end of the day for 45 minutes and did it by myself. And they spliced it together. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, that was it. And then they had me back, and then they put me in episodes where I wasn't even there. I just stood against a white wall because I had to go back and do Dexter, and I would, I wouldn't even be in the room with people. Sometimes you see me, and it's the back of the stand-in, and I'm like, I look really thin there. So that happened end of season 1, and then I saw season 1, and I was like, I can tell I'm not in the room with them. I wish that was my chance to act with them. And then season 2 happened, and as season 2 went on, Howard grew, and then season 3 is when I got to become a series regular, and I feel so grateful because it's really the dreamiest job, and all I wanted, as I think most actors do, is to have a family and a community and a place to go just for a little while. So I'm gonna sob during this thing. It feels very nice, and thank goodness that my first series regular is this particular job, because it is a dream, and it'll never be lost on me how lucky I am. but it's cool. It's cool.
Very cool. I'm so happy.
That is so sweet. Wesley, how's it working with Linda Eamon, like a legend?
Queen.
Just your mother.
Queen.
I mean, that was just another one that I like. I had seen her as Schneider in Cabaret. I had seen her as Linda Lohman in Death of a Salesman. I mean, she had this very celebrated theater career that I had just binged The Patient with Steve Carell, and she plays the serial killer's mother. She was outstanding. So I had just binged that, and then I found out that she was playing my mom, and I was just so excited. We got really close. We're still close. We still hang out and make out. No, but we still keep in touch. We're obsessed. She's wonderful, and also a very interesting thing to like really share your journey on a show with another actor like that. We were constantly sharing a 2-shot and sharing secrets and sharing,
Yeah, was she knew that it was you?
She did know. I mean, we sort of had to find out each other's storylines about halfway through, but I didn't know about the cancer plot until like halfway through, and she wasn't sure it was me until halfway through. But then we knew. Yeah.
Well, one thing I love hearing is it seems like you guys have built such a strong community within the show. And Destiny, I know you're president of the CSA, which I think is obviously a very important position for you to hold. And also, how is it being able to be a part of that and building community against your fellow casting directors and people who work in the industry?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Being president of CSA is a very, very hard job that pays $0. However, I love it. I chose it. I ran. The people chose it. It happened. No, I actually really love doing it. It's a lot of work because, organizing a community of casting professionals, across the globe to even, show up at a bar at the same time is, that is work. We all know how these things work. But the greatest thing about it is that I have met so many people, like literally across the world who work in casting, and we get to share stories with each other. We like build understanding. If you're like super, super stuck on something, or if you need something, you're like, oh, do you know anyone in like Turkey or Japan that I could talk to? And it's like, yes, there's someone that you can reach out to there. And we have a great community. We have our CSA has our Artios Awards, which is very cool. And casting directors are finally eligible for an Oscar starting finally. Which is really, really exciting. And all of the, the Academy invited casting directors in about like 12 years ago, and all of the governors there worked so hard to make that Oscar a reality. So it's really thrilling that that's happening, that it's like, oh, you can be like someone who starts as a casting director today could be like, oh, I could win an Oscar one day. Is really exciting. But yes, I love casting. I also love actors, which makes my job a lot of fun. And it's a very cool thing. Every once in a while I get to, people might ask me a question and I get to be like an authority on casting. So that's cool. Yeah.
Well, I think you definitely are an authority on casting, considering Wesley and Michael, there's so much, especially in this season, between like balancing obviously the mystery and then the musical aspect of everything. There's a lot of high pressure situations on the show. What do you feel like you do when you're kind of in a show, like to help support your fellow actors?
That's a good question. That makes me think of one day. This is the day that I shot the Paul Rudd scene, the big scene,
the big scene,
the kill scene, and it's a longer scene it was shot in several parts. But Paul, at the time, they were trying to shoot him out quickly because he had to go do an Ant-Man or something.
I think literally yes.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And so he had to fly and start doing all this stuff. And so they were trying to like shoot him out. And so they were putting all his stuff back to back to back. And he was struggling a little bit in terms of like retention of material and stuff. And so I remember showing up to hair and makeup, and I was so excited. It was just going to be me and Paul Rudd all day. And like I grew up idolizing this man, I think I walked up to him and like I was so nervous that I just quoted a line at him from Wet Hot American Summer. I was like, "You taste like a burger. I don't like you anymore," which is an iconic line he says from that movie. And he was like, "Hey, good morning," you know. But he was like, "I need your help. I need your help with material today. I need you." So like between setups, we were running lines, we were running material, and I thought I was going to pick his brain all day about his career, but really I was like, valuable to him that day. So I was there for him in that moment of, the end.
And I just make sure everybody has snacks.
Yeah.
Snack break. No, I'm sort of like the sometimes new people will come in, or day players, or co-stars and stuff, and it is a intimidating set to be on, not because of the people, not because of the way the people are. It's a very lovely set, but because you are sometimes standing across from three powerhouse idols of yours. So it's very overwhelming sometimes to act with Steve, Marty, and Selena, only because of the baggage you put on it, that they're the great superstars. So sometimes I try to be the person that's like, they're really nice and normal. I always make sure everybody's like,
He does that. He did that with me too. I felt like you took me under your wing a little bit. It was
try
very
to
sweet.
do that.
Yeah, he's very good.
Buddy. But yeah, no, I mean, it is like anybody would want that. Just like it's important. It's nice to walk onto a set and sort of have someone go. And sometimes people, it's their first time on a set, or on a set this big, and I like to be like, that's the first AD. That's who you ask for props. That's who you do that. Like I did that a lot with Jason VC, who played my boyfriend. He was like, who is everybody? I was like, that's that person. That's that person. That's who you ask for this. So that's what I try to do, is make sure, because I know them. I have the luxury of getting to know them over several seasons. I know everybody.
But also, Marty will get up and shake the hand of every day player, and it's a very generous cast.
That's great.
That's wonderful. Well, it seems like this season must have been so much fun to do. For all of you, do you have a favorite memory from shooting this season?
By far, watching Meryl Streep sing the lullaby with Ashley Park. Ugh. For hours and hours and hours. It was the most magical showbiz. At one point, Steve Martin turned to us and goes, "This is a really special moment, huh?" And I'm like, yeah, it is. For all of us, for everybody in the room. Wasn't that just insane? You'd turn around and like people would be sobbing hysterically. DDR, Don Daryl Rivera, who played Bobo, sobbing, crying, hands shaking, because it's a room like you want to be in the room. That's the room you want to be in. Yeah. It was so incredible.
The day I shot the long one with Selena and Marty and Steve, the Paul Rudd day. Oh, when Meryl had me teach her chorus line. That was probably
video's online and you have to watch.
It's on my Instagram. It's a little video that Selena filmed, and it's me teaching Meryl Streep the opening combination of a chorus line.
Oh my God! Wow, you've made it.
Truly, just kill me.
Destiny, what about for you?
I mean, I will say the day I got to go to set was the day that we did the first table read scene. So that was super fun because it was like everybody was there. I got to meet Meryl Streep, which is like goals. And it was just so cool because sometimes you don't always get to see, as a casting director, you don't always get to see the work and like as it happens because you don't go to set every day. So it was very cool to go to set and be like, oh, this is like a big scene. Like so many people are on set that day. And we got to see everybody like interacting. And it's like, and then Paul Rudd comes in. And then I was like, oh, they're all here. Like it's sometimes as a casting director, you're just really excited that everybody showed up. So you're like, they all showed up. They're all here. Look at them. They're all in their costumes. They're doing the thing. It's very exciting.
I feel like you have such an abundance of riches with a lot of the work you've done, but what are some of the challenges that come along with the job?
The casting?
Yeah.
I mean, there are many. It's a really fun job, you know, and I always like to point out, like, we're not curing cancer. We don't work in an ER. Everything's going to be fine. But on this show, I think the biggest challenge is often scheduling because we have so many talented, wonderful people who sometimes have, like, 3 free days to come in and shoot. There, you know, like Paul Rudd's running off to do Ant-Man or whatever. So it's always like we want to be able to find the best way to get everybody into, I remember on season 1, there was literally this moment where we were parading the killer through the courtyard and needed like everyone in the building to be in the courtyard to like see who it was, and the work that it took to get every single one of those actors. Like I still remember being like, Malik Pancholi is still available for that one shot day, right? like literally every single to get.
And I look really skinny because it's the back of Jordan. Because I was
Michael
in Boston
was not there.
doing Dexter, but I look really thin.
But yeah, like to get, yes, we got everybody but you.
I was really bummed too. They wouldn't let me come.
And so it's like scheduling. It's like we just need this one night shot where everybody's there, and it was a big deal. It ended up in the trailer though, so I was very proud of myself. So sometimes like things like that, just like scheduling and trying to get people in the same room, and also people in season 1 especially, people saw murder in the title and didn't realize it was a comedy. So kind of get like people would come in for like the cop roles or whatever and would try to be like it was Law and Order, and I was like, oh, like, and you get a tape from somebody be like, oh no, they don't get it. Oh, okay. And so over time, people now have a sense of the rhythms of the show, but especially at first, I was like, not that kind of cop, like that, not those kinds of murders, comedy murders, fictional comedy murders. Yes, but it's a really fun show to work on, and I think sometimes it can be challenging, especially coming into the show when it was in the middle of COVID and finding a way to like really help people, because that was a thing. Like we used to be able to just bring people in and we'd read with them and be like, oh, it's not a serious like Law and Order, it's a comedy. And sometimes you don't have the ability to do that if people are just sending a tape, but I like to be able to either like, you can hop on Zoom with someone, or you can, be like, hey, this is a short scene. I'd just love for you to retape it with these 3 things in mind and try to help people out. But yeah, it's always with casting too. It's like, we need to get this done. We need somebody on set, next week, tomorrow. We need somebody here tomorrow morning. That happened this current season. We just did season 4 where it's like, we added this role and this person shoots in 48 hours. And I was like, okay, let me get on that. We did though. We got somebody there. They were there then, they were there within 48 hours filming, doing the thing. So yeah, but it's really fun. I mean, cast, I love it. It's like my dream, and it's my dream job. So I'm thrilled to do it.
Well, we have so many like talented actors here in the audience right now too. So Wesley and Michael, what kind of tips would you give to fellow actors about like the casting process, the audition process? Like, do you have special things that you do?
Flips.
Yeah, flips, obviously. Learn
Do a flip.
Flips.
Do a flip.
Play everything 2 different ways. Like tips. I mean, I would say audition tips. This is like the only thing that I can do is like the only thing that makes me feel good is being fully prepared and doing what I think is the right choice, not what I think someone thinks I should do. And that was a big turning point for me as an actor, because once I started using what for many years I thought was my detriments, who I am as a person and how I approach language and things. Once I started using those things for the better is when I started getting work. It's when I was trying to do what I thought people wanted me to do, I was a horrible auditioner.
That's really good advice. I really don't know. I'm racking my brain for an answer right now because I still feel like I don't know the answer. But this was the first audition I had been on in a while, and it was definitely the first in-person audition in a bit, and it was for TV, not theater, and so I think I was really excited, and also I read the sides, and I wasn't watching the show. I hadn't even seen the show, but I know, I know, but I get the sides and I read it, and I'm like, I feel like I get it. Like I felt like I knew the tone because it was so well written, and I heard the tone.
Good save.
But
I binged it, right?
And then I binged as much as I could after I learned those lines. But no, I mean, but also like the energy of this is a really high-profile show. Everyone's watching it. It's a hit. It's got a lot of stars on it, and it's very common to walk into a situation like that and be like, "I'm not gonna get this. Like this is a good experience, but I'm not gonna get this." You know, and this was the first time in a while that I was like, "No, I'm gonna get this." You know, and I think that I don't like to spend a lot of time woo woo wah wah, superstition, whatever, but like that energy, putting that energy out there, manifesting it for yourself is, I think, a real thing. Like it really does change the energy in the space when you walk in. To not dismiss something as like, well, clearly I'm not going to get this. I'm sure there's an offer out to a star. Like that cynicism that has built in me over the years of being in this career forever is not really helpful.
And then if you don't, that is such good advice. And then I would say, to add on to that, if you don't get it, I give myself one day to mourn and be like, but that wasn't about me at all. Most of the time it wasn't about me if you're prepared and you do your job.
It wasn't my role. It clearly wasn't my role to play. It was someone else's,
Well, Destiny, what kind of tips can you give from the casting side, and what are you guys looking for as casting directors?
I mean, I think, what Michael said is really key. Like, what we're looking for is you. Whatever you bring, whatever. We're not looking for you to try to make yourself into something else. Like, if it's your role, we want you to bring the thing that you bring, whether that is, doing a flip or other things, other amazing talents that everyone has. But it's true. It's like, actors should not spend time trying to figure out how can I make myself into this thing that a casting director might like, because that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the thing that you bring when it's the time, when the role matches that. So, it's not a good use of your time to try to like twist yourselves into knots to be something else, or to just try to be like, oh, if I could just be what they want. But it's like, what we want is the person that's right for the role. And sometimes that's you and sometimes it's not. And that is an important part of the process, like realizing, like Wes said, like not every role is for you. And a big thing is when you're in an audition situation, like be prepared. Like make sure that you've like Wes hadn't seen our show, but he binged it, like make sure that you know the thing that you're walking into, make sure that
in
you've
my
really
defense,
made
it was the
choices.
night before that you
Yes,
called for this audition.
I know, but you still
a lot of
pitched
times.
it. You did the thing. Take the time to really prepare as much as you can. I think that's really, really helpful.
Thank these wonderful, wonderful, talented people for joining us tonight. And season 4 is soon.
Oh yeah, season 4 premieres August 27th.
Yes.
Please tune in. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.